How to write an inspirational speech. Hey, what's the most inspirational speech you've ever heard? I'm excited to share one with you today that I've never shared anywhere in any video that I've ever made. And this will be an experiment, so I'm excited to go through this one with you. But think about what's the most inspiring speech you've ever heard and how can you create one as well. I'm Jason Hewlett, Hall of Fame speaker, and I'm excited to share this with you. A lot of tips and tricks here in this one that are going to help you write an incredible inspirational speech. You've heard of Tony Robbins, Winston Churchill, Maya Angelou, all of these great speakers through the years that, you could look up their inspirational speeches. Maybe you remember something of what they've said, but one in particular really stands out to me, and it comes from very recent history. Have you ever heard of Admiral William H. McRaven? If not, let me introduce him to you. This is perhaps the most inspirational speech I have heard in the last decade. It was given at the 2014 commencement for the University of Texas. And this is a naval commander, somebody who commands great respect. It is one of the greatest speeches I've ever heard, and I'm excited to share it with you. Now, this is pretty much a perfect speech, in my opinion. And it's about 20 minutes long. And so what I'd recommend is that we're going to put in the link, actually, how you can go and find this speech. Or you could also just look up William McRaven. And here's what's interesting about this speech. There are so many cool aspects to how he outlines this and makes it inspiring that I'm going to show you step by step how he did it. But I'm also going to have to read parts of his speech in order to deliver it properly. So I appreciate you understanding how we're going to do this today. Let's talk about how to write an inspirational speech in 7 steps. Step 1, have one particular point or takeaway that is memorable, and all of your stories should be supporting that example. McRaven begins his speech with a motto, a quote, a slogan of the university. He says, "What starts here changes the world." That's the slogan of the university. And so he uses every single story and example to tie back into that point. Step 2, start with relatability and connection with your audience. So first you need to find your connection point, and I love how he does this. These are his lines. He says, "It's been almost 37 years to the day that I graduated from UT." And then the crowd cheers. What I love about this is that he's connecting with them immediately so they know that he's one of them. Now, maybe you didn't attend the university you're going to speak at or have been a person in the company that you're speaking at. However, there are places of connection that you can make, and this is what's so cool about a speech like this, is to see somebody connecting the dots so quickly. Second, find a relatability point. This is what he says. "I remember a lot of things about that day," referring to his graduation day. "I remember I had a throbbing headache from a party the night before." I love that he uses that line because it makes everybody laugh. They know exactly what he's been through because they probably just went through it themselves. He also says, "I remember I had a girlfriend whom I later married," and the crowd cheers. Now, a majority of them probably are in a relationship and probably aren't thinking they're going to marry that person, but this is a cool way to establish some of his values, some of his reasons for sharing that. Step 3, make them laugh. Now, if you know me, I love to do all I can to make people laugh in terms of making things interesting or entertaining. I love how he sets this up to make them laugh. He says, "But of all the things I remember, I don't have a clue who the commencement speaker was. And I certainly don't remember anything they said. So, acknowledging that fact, if I can't make this commencement speech memorable, then I will at least make it short." So he gives them a promise up front. He makes fun of the fact that most people don't remember their graduation speaker or speakers in general. He acknowledges that, he makes them laugh by stating a point and a fact that's so true, and yet he also gives them a promise and says, "I'll just keep it short and sweet, but I'm going to try to make it memorable." So in my opinion, this is one of the best first 1-minute moments of any speech I've ever seen. He drives home relatability. He makes them all feel like they can be a part of it with them and that he's been a part of that with them as well in his life. And then, of course, he makes them laugh. I love the beginning of this speech. If you just studied anything about speaking, study this first minute. What I love also is that he's put together. He's in uniform. He looks extremely important, and he is, but he also pares it down to make himself be relatable immediately. In other words, the way he looks is completely unrelatable to most people. and yet he makes himself be relatable by the things that he's saying and the tone in which he's saying it lightheartedly. Now he goes into step 4. Step 4 is to create a vision as to what the person listening can do with their life, aspirationally, a vision for what they can do. This is how he does it. He says, so the university slogan is, what starts here changes the world. Remember, that is his theme of his whole talk. And he says, and I've got to admit, I kind of like it. Then he repeats it. He says, what starts here changes the world. Tonight, there are more than 8,000 students graduating from UT, but if every one of you changed the lives of just 10 people, and each one of those people changed the lives of another 10 people, and another 10, then in 5 generations, in 125 years, the class of 2014 will have changed the lives of 800 million people. Go one more generation and you can change the entire population of the world, 8 billion people. Do you see what he's doing there? He's creating a vision for the listener of what they can become, what they can do, what they can create with their place in this world. I love how he sets this up. It's his theme about how they can change the world and how every single one of us can do the same thing. Step 5 is to create the problem or doubt in the mind of the listener that maybe what's being said might not work. So this is what he says. If you think it's hard to change the lives of 10 people, you're wrong. I love how he states that. He says it firmly, astutely. He says it with conviction. You are wrong if you're thinking what I'm saying may not work for you. He's giving them a problem, but then he'll create a solution. And then he supports it with all kinds of examples that are unbelievable. For example, he says, I saw it happen every day in Iraq and Afghanistan. In other words, he's laying down the law that he's been there, done that. He's the pro. He knows what he's talking about. Step 6 is to give them a solution to the problem they're going to solve. I love how he lays this out because he creates the problem for us in our mind thinking, I don't know if I can do that, really change the world. And then he says, this is the simple solution I'm going to give you to make this happen. He says, generations were saved by one decision, one person. But changing the world can happen anywhere and anyone can do it. So what starts here can indeed change the world. But the question is, what will the world look like after you change it? Well, I'm confident it will look much, much better. I have a few suggestions that will help you make your way to a better world. And while these lessons were learned during my time in the military, I can assure you that it matters not whether you ever served a day in uniform. It matters not your gender, ethnic, or religious background, your orientation or social status. Our struggles in this world are similar. And the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward, changing ourselves and changing the world around us, will apply equally to all. What I love about this part, I'm going to stop for a minute reading his because he's creating solutions for anybody, no matter the status or state of their life. They can make a difference. And so he's creating this aspiration, this vision for any of us to be an inspiration in this world. Here's the line that the speech is most famous for. He says, if you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. Have you ever heard that line? The speech was given at the time of this recording of this video. It was given 10 years ago in 2014. Have you ever heard that line about make your bed? It's almost become a slogan for getting something done and getting something going at the beginning of your day. This has become an inspiration for a lot of people around the world because of how well he said this. He lays out how important it is to make your bed because that's the first one of the day. And the next line is the one that everyone remembers. Ready? So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. I love that. He lays it all out, gives you something very simple to do. Essentially, anyone can make their bed, right? And this is where inspiration comes from for any of us listening. We think to ourselves, I can make my bed, that's simple. He then lays out for us why that matters. And what he does is step 7 is he repeats the fact that step 1 is making sure that you go back and remember what the quote is. You can change the world and you need to just start now. And so what does he do? He keeps adding stories, examples, making it so that each of us can do something similar. I love this speech. It's so powerful. It made me truly think the first time I heard it, and every time I go back to it, I learned something new. And step 8, keep it short. What I love about the way that General McRaven here does this is he makes it so that all of us understand that we need to give a presentation if we're working on making an inspiring speech. We need to keep it short. He promised us that up front. and he delivers on that. So here's your call to action on this video that is a very unique video compared to what I've made in other videos on this channel. I want you to go and find that speech. It is linked here on this channel. And I want you to think about what are the most inspirational speeches you've ever heard in your life. I would love it if you'd comment in the comments below and tell everybody what your favorite, most inspirational speech is, the person that you heard it from. I would love to know what your opinion is as well. And here's what I want you also to do. Go find that speech. You only really need to listen to the first 6 minutes to get a feel for what I just set up. The whole speech is 20 minutes. I recommend anyone listen to it because Admiral McRaven is so powerful in his delivery of this speech. If you want to write an inspirational speech, go listen to Admiral McRaven.